Sharon Combs. She is an experienced, passionate, and charismatic speaker. Since 2000, Sharon has been investing herself in the success of others, captivating them with humor and openness that promotes audience engagement.
It doesn't have to be a fight between me and you. We can focus on solutions. And how do we focus on solutions? We establish common ground.
The thing I want to say is if you are fortunate enough to reach Coach Shay and set some time up with her, you're going to be very lucky.
We have assumptions, so many, and you have to check your assumptions because your assumptions can be the very barrier or bottleneck to us being able to work effectively together.
You're going to realize your true growth potential as a leader as well. She actually presented it in a way it felt new.
Hey, Heidi Ho, how are you? This is Sharon Combs. Welcome to Be the Clay. Today on Be the Clay, we are going to talk about the time when I lost a tire on the highway. As we are hitting February, the first month of January is already gone. It has flown by, and a lot of the goals that individuals had, there's some people who are like, oh, absolutely crushing it. Most of those individuals are going to be in a group. There's going to be some type of accountability, not just self-accountability. It's going to be maybe some gamified results, some competition that moves you forward, not the competition that knocks you down. And so there's also a group of individuals who maybe are looking and it's like, I had these things listed out and they're not done. Or I only got one done, or only got two done. And depending on how you look at it, you can look at it as a negative. I am a fan of work on what you're working toward. So if your needle is moving forward, just keep moving the needle forward. But because I know many aren't in that space, we're going to talk about today stewardship and responsibility. Now, for those of you who are not familiar with Be the Clay does have a biblical background. It's a biblical type of support structure or infrastructure there, which is you are the clay that's on this potter's wheel. And the potter, he may shape you. It may be some things, some impurities he's trying to bring out of you. He may have you be a bowl in one season and you will carry something. He may have you be a spoon in another season where you will stir something. The thing is, the potter gets to design the clay. And we live in a world where it's like my piece, my choice, what I am not going to do. And so we have to learn how to navigate this I with the potter for those of us that are faith-based, especially if you are in leadership or you are a faith-based entrepreneur. I work with faith-based entrepreneurs. I enjoy it. And so that is what Be the Clay is. We just talk about more of the reflective parts, things to help you kind of reflect on your journey, things that are not going to be as exact as, hey, this is your CTA here. This is the pillar that you're working on here. Here are the targets that feed that pillar. We do talk about some of those things, but a lot of what we talk about on Be the Clay are reflective things just to make you be like, oh, okay, because alignment is key. Alignment is key. And so today, though, with Lost a Tire on the Highway, we're going to talk about some personal growth type things that speak to how I happened to lose this tire on the highway. That is not the only tire I've ever lost while driving, nor is it the only experience I've had on a highway. But we'll talk about those things as we go on into the future. They may be in some of my published works, but wherever you read them, they will be helpful for reflection and helpful for us to just kind of realize, life is a journey and life is an opportunity to grow, whether by our actions or by the actions of others. Life is beautiful. And so with that being said, let's go ahead and let's get started on this episode of Be the Clay, Shifting and Transition. First off, I lost a tire on the highway, and this deals with stewardship and responsibility and whether my actions and my stewardship and responsibility will cause me to be a danger to others or a benefit to others. So I had this car. I believe I was 16 at the time. I actually had a couple of cars. I was 16 And this one was like a 79 Grand Prix. So it could drive pretty fast, right? And I had felt something with the steering wheel, like it just didn't feel right when I was driving it, but I was going to work and I was like, I kept putting off this thing that just didn't feel right, as 16-year-olds tend to do. Sometimes 64-year-olds tend to do it. I digress. So I'm driving, I'm on the highway, I'm in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and I'm like, something's off. Something's off. I don't know what it is. And I know it. But I didn't know what it was. And so as it's time for me to get off on the exit, I get off on the exit, and I kid you not, my front passenger tire, as I'm getting off on the highway, that tire just keeps rolling. I veer off the exit here, and then I began to straighten out, and my tire continues to roll. My tire rolls off while I am driving. Now, I wasn't going quite highway speed because I was getting off on the exit so I could go to work. But my tire, it went off. And here's the thing. The lesson I really had to learn that had to do with stewardship and responsibility. Even though I could say I didn't know what the sound was, the responsibility was mine to ask about it, to inquire about it, to do my due diligence in taking care of this thing the Lord had blessed me with. And sometimes we do things that I call POP, the put off practice, and we put stuff off and off and off. For some people, it's a form of procrastination. For other people, it could come from like a poverty mindset, where if it's not an emergency, it doesn't get attention. You live in this state of, right now. And so in my case, I knew something was wrong. I would like to say I didn't know what was wrong, and I did say it at the time. But when I really look back over that reflectively, I had ample opportunity to know what was wrong. I was irresponsible. And so that's the truth with accountability that you have to look at sometimes. Truth is never wrong. It's never wrong, and it may be easy for me to say, well, I didn't know, but I had ample opportunity to know. The alarms were going off. The car was shaking. It was shaking. The car was all but saying, hey, hey, hey. The shake was my blinking red light to alert me to, hey, something is amiss here. Something is amiss. And so I just want to let you know, as you're going through things and you are so excited about the things that you get, the things that you acquire, the things that you're blessed with, remember, stewardship is not optional. It's not. What you fail to maintain endangers you. And in my case, it was endangering everybody that was sharing the road with me, and that's selfish. Like, that was selfish on my part. Guys, that was selfish on my part. And sometimes we do things in life and we put it off and put it off and put it off, and it affects more than just you. It affects more than just you. And that is part of being selfish. That is a very self-focused, almost like to heck with everybody else on the highway trying to go to work, feed their families, or get to their next place in life, because I didn't want to investigate the flashing red light that was my whole vehicle shaking for something that could have simply been tighten up the lug nuts or the screws, whatever was holding my tire on. And so whatever it is that you have, I want to encourage you, take time to be a steward. And these are things you have to train yourself in. Just because it may sound like a simple, concise takeaway here, it doesn't always mean that it's easy. It requires discipline and consistency. Consistency always wins. It always wins. And I continue to learn that over and over and over. Even at this big age, I am still learning the benefits of consistency. I still see, oh man, that's growing. It's because it was consistent. Oh man, I'm losing weight. It's because I was consistent somewhere. And so stewardship, again, guys, it is not it's not an optional thing. Optionable. That's not even a word, I don't believe. But it's not optional, right? And so I just wanted to share that because I really was endangering the lives of the people on the road with me. And that would have been horrible. That would have been horrible. Even if I had a wreck, I had something, but it wasn't like a full-on wreck, the part where my tire came off was messed up, but I didn't run into anybody else. I didn't have to go to the hospital. but it costs. It costs those in my proximity, not on the highway, but my mom. It costs her, money. She's already working to do things. These things have a cost. So you want to be responsible with your stewardship. And you want to know that responsibility has a reach. So your alignment or lack of it can harm others or become a benefit to them. Now, here's the deal. When you are stewarding your items well, it becomes a benefit to others. I think about the scripture that says, when the righteous rule, the whole land rejoices. When the wicked rule, the whole land is like in turmoil. And, we're experiencing that now. Regardless of who you are politically, whatever has happened with our leaders and our leaders politically, business-wise, and everything, we are experiencing the chaos of selfish leaders, And I don't think that they are exempt or they are not like the rest of us. I believe our leaders reflect the makeup of our country, whether we want to acknowledge it or not, where we've let people get away with things for so long or had a different set of rules for different people. If you are a person of melanin, it's at least 2 Americas. I believe it's more than 2 Americas. And I'm not talking about North and South. I'm saying within the United States, there's more than one America based on how different people get treated, how women get treated, how LGBTQ get treated, how people with color in their skin, people of color get treated. Regardless of your religious and political beliefs, people get treated differently. And because of that, it results in like division. It's division, period, because of the disparities there. And so responsibility has a reach. And when you are righteous and you are a good steward of the things, the people around you, they benefit from that. When you fail to be a good steward, the people around you, they suffer because of that. And so your alignment or lack thereof can harm individuals around you. Let me do a little side note here. I was just thinking like how people say, well, we have to choose the lesser of 2 evils. The lesser of 2 evils is still evil. And seed will always reproduce after its own kind. And I think about, there's a scripture that says, that we would have life and life more abundantly. And, in the Old Testament, I saw you struggling in your blood and I said, live. And so everything about the way is like life and life more abundantly, the light, the way, life. And evil is the polar opposite of that, not just in spelling. And so if you're choosing the lesser of 2 evils, you're still choosing evil. When we choose the lesser of 2 evils, we're still choosing evil. I'll let that just sit there. I'll let that sit there for a minute. And so anyway, I wanted to share that. And I wanted to share also, truth is like, it's never wrong. And it doesn't have to bend for convenience. Now, it may cost you comfort. It may cost you speed. It may cost you comfort. It may cost you speed. You may not be able to take the helicopter to the top of the mountain. You may have to hike to the top of the mountain. But truth is still the way to go. It's still the way to go. And also, I just want to let you know that life and life more abundantly, it does require alignment, guys. It requires it. It requires it. What you'll find out is your language, your speech. It will reveal which direction you're moving toward, whether you're moving toward the lesser of 2 evils or you're moving toward life and life more abundantly. I just want to share that with you. Now, I'm going to sit back a little bit and tell you guys some things about, I told you about the tire coming off, right? And it would be easy for me to blame someone else or say I didn't know or expect everybody, because I was on my way to work. Obviously, I was late. And I wasn't going to be responsible for being late because it's not my fault because my tire, came off. But actually, I was still responsible because I had ample opportunity to deal with that tire. That mindset of making other people have to deal with your failure to follow through or your irresponsibility, that will translate into life. And what happens is when you are in transition or you have moments when you have to be accountable or there are changes in your life, you're going to expect everybody else to set up shop. My cousin called it main character energy. because something has happened to you, everybody else has to adjust to what's happening to you. And that's not how life works. And so I want to help you in being the clay and shifting and transition that you know that. Now, there are times when things that are outside of your control may happen, and just watch how people just pour into you. But when you expect, or you have that entitlement or that demand, everybody must yield because something has happened to me. That's an area where personal growth could really benefit you. And the moment it benefits you, it will begin to benefit those that you love and those that are in proximity to you. So I do want to share this. I said this throughout this month, I would share things to tell how I got to where I am, not just take this step for a financial thing, but how I was even able to move in these different directions and have the confidence to take initiative and do different things. And so last week I talked about, me riding my bike, and I always had on a hoodie. I always had on a hoodie and like a bandana, and I was riding that bike and I was happy to ride it. It was a red Schwinn, and the handlebars would keep slipping. They would just slip and slip while I was riding it. They slipped so much that when they slipped, the bike didn't wiggle. I had gotten so accustomed to the slip, and so I was riding my bike and I was going back and forth to this class a gentleman was holding at a Panera Bread. And I would go to this class. The class was called Mastery. And so it was talking about how, master the field that you're in, master this. And we looked at some of the individuals who are really good in their fields. We didn't look at their personal life or anything. We just looked at how they had achieved what they'd achieved in their field. Leonardo da Vinci, Oprah Winfrey, just different people, how they had achieved and gotten to like these pinnacles, or these something that separated them from the other 85% of people working in that industry. And so one day I was just riding the bike on the road. I don't know if I was going to the class or coming from the class or going to work, but I remember I was on my bike. I was in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and I was riding on a street called Lewis. And I just was like, it hit me to master language. I'd been praying, asking the Lord, and it was like master language. And that was the instruction. Nothing more, nothing less, master language. Now, when I was younger, I used to read the dictionary all the time. I was reading, I think I was reading Harlequin. I know I was reading Harlequin romances by age 5. Yes, age 5, Harlequin romances. Picture that for the formative thoughts in your mind. I'll come back now. But at this point in my adult life, I'd come from Atlanta. I was like, I'm coming back home. I'm going to kill the game. I've been living in Atlanta. It's been all good. I came home to Tulsa as an adult, and everything just, boom, kind of hit a brick wall. It was not what I thought it was going to be. But during that season, I heard master language. And so I began to master language. I began to think about the words in registry. Like, I thought registry was just where you put your gifts or you register your name or your family. I didn't know that there were registries of speech, like for different levels of speech. And so I began to master language and master language and master language. And then after I began to master language, the next instruction I had was think, verb, on purpose. Not about just purpose and destiny, but about being deliberate and intentional. So these are things like 2006, 2008, these are things, I'm an adult, but they were years ago. And so I've been working on them. But the very first thing was in 1999, toward the end of 1999, November or December. I had moved out. I'd come back from England. I'd been in England for a spell, 8 or 9 weeks, 9 weeks actually. And I'd come back to Atlanta, and I decided to make some changes in my life, like I'd said, okay, Lord, if you still want me, you can have me. And so I was like, I'm not going to live my life like it's golden. I'm going to study this word and find out more. And so I'd come back from England. I stayed where I was for one day, and then I was led to get out of there. And I ended up staying in an extended stay. I left my friends that I had before I was in Atlanta, and it was like, you can't stay here. And so I went into an extended stay, and I was staying there. And the very first thing was UCDI. Now, a lot of you know I have a company called UCDI Leadership, right? But at that time, it was just UCDI. And all it stood for was you can do it. At the time, I didn't know what I could do. I was like, how am I going to do it? It's probably not even possible. I just was like, just study the word. Just study the word. Study the word. Study the word. You know, just study it. If you're going to live by it, study it. And at that extended stay, I would put a piece of printer paper on my door and in the office, and I would put the room number to where I was in the extended stay. And I'd be like, hey, on Tuesday nights at 6:30, you guys come and we're going to have like a Bible study. And I literally would be having a Bible study. When I tell you I had people in there that was mentally ill, addicts, it was all kind of stuff. I don't know. The grace of God was with me, because what was I thinking? Man, I had men in there. Like, I was like, now I would be like, hey, I don't know if that's wisdom, but God is so good because he kept me. I was like, no, y'all don't understand. He said you can do it, so you can do it. And I hadn't even done all of these things. I hadn't done all of these things at all. All I'd done was moved out. I was wondering how I was going to pay each week, you know? But what I'm really trying to tell you is that each of those things, you get an instruction, and often your answer is in the instruction. Sometimes you don't like the instruction you receive or that you've been given, but your answer is in the instruction. And my first instruction was UCDI. Tell people about UCDI. 1999. I'm writing with a Sharpie UCDI. This isn't a pretty flyer. This is me writing on it. I still have some of those papers now, you know, and it reminds me like, man, wow. But I would do that, and I would talk to people and teach people and tell them about the word and tell them how much the Lord loved them and pray for people who were bound and having really hard times. And God in his grace would just do stuff. You know, he would just do what he does because he's a good God. And then he was like, master language, Sharon. And I was like, I don't understand why I would do this. You know, I'm somebody who rocks hoodies. I'm going to work with the youth. I'm going to work with, you know, people from the street. I'm going to do this type of work. I don't know why, but later in life, I'm talking to CNOs, CEOs, different things. And I began to realize, oh, this is what he meant when he said master language. And then think on purpose. Really realizing that how you think, your thoughts are designed to serve you. And if you train them, they will serve you. But if you don't, you will be at the mercy of your thoughts, and you'll be scattered all the time, like a city with no walls. Anybody can just come up in there. Any thought, any concept, anybody you talk to can just redirect you and you know, the last person talking is who you're going to believe, because there's no boundaries. You don't have there's no structure or protection around your mind. And he's like, no, think on purpose. Like, what is the purpose of your thoughts? And they are to serve you. They are to help you work on what you're working toward, those things. And it was just great. And each time I would learn those things, and each time doors would open because I was obedient. The answer is in the instruction. Clip this. The answer is in the instruction. Every time. If you are saying, hey, I'm supposed to do this, do it, because your answer is going to be in that obedience. If you are willing and obedient, you can eat the good of the land. And so what happened with each of those things, I would end up going into transition. You know, I would end up going into transition because as I was obedient and doing these new things, changes would come. It would create a change in my life, and it would be a new opportunity for me to learn, a new opportunity for me to listen, a new opportunity for me to connect, a new opportunity for me to see something that wasn't visible and was intangible become tangible, begin to take on I can see, feel, and touch what just happened here. You know, it was my journey. That's all I'm gonna say. It was my journey. You know, I don't know what other people's journey would be like, but it was the journey that I had with the Lord. And it let me know, for real, all things are possible. It lets me know that you can do it. And so UCDI leadership, after that time, I ended up going to university. Never thought I would be able to do that, but I was able to go to university. My degree is in leadership studies. So UCDI leadership is something that was born in 1999 because it's like, you can do it. Push until the ceiling becomes a floor. You know, like, these things are possible. If there's a limit, it's going to be a limit that either you put on yourself or you've allowed somebody else to put on you. And those things hurt too, when we have to realize the people we're blaming for not giving us an opportunity. We have to come to terms and be accountable with ourselves that why are we still waiting on them to give us the opportunity? Message. Why are we still waiting? If somebody never gives you an opportunity, why are you still waiting on them to give you one? I know. Just chew on it. Just chew on it. Just chew on it. And so UCDI leadership is like a core. It's one of the flagship programs within the ecosystem. This ecosystem that I pull from called the ecosystem, which holds the body of the works. And it is a framework that allows you to find your answers in the instructions. You know, master language has become language mastery, which helps people know how to speak, how to say one thing, 3 words, 3 ways, how to really think about your pacing. These are tools that will help you with your communication. Communication, I don't care what industry you're in, and I don't care what level of the industry you're in. Communication is a game changer. It separates you, right? Your ability to communicate separates you, or your inability to communicate separates you. And so, yeah, language mastery is a core part of UCDI leadership, and it can help. Think on purpose helps individuals, especially when you're dealing with burnout, or you're caught in your mind, or you're ruminating and not realizing you're creating new neural pathways because you don't understand metacognition. Like, you don't ever really think about what you're thinking about. You're just driven by your thoughts. But this is your vehicle. You are the driver, not your thoughts. And that's why you can train your thoughts to serve you. So with a lot of these things, this has kind of been like some of my personal journey. And I do want to say, listen, there are things you will have to take responsibility for. Accountability is all right, y'all. Accountability is all right, because there are lessons in accountability, period. Accountability is not your enemy, nor is adversity your enemy. I don't think adversity should be your best friend, but it can be a decent coach. You don't have to go and look and find things. What's adverse? No, I'm not saying go be like, what's adverse? And hold up a sign, adverse, I'm looking for you. No. But adversity can be a good coach. It can help you know what areas you need to strengthen. It can help you recognize what areas that are innate, that seem to be just like an innate ability within you. You know, it can help you with those things. And so I just wanted to share some of that. Now, quickly, right before I close, I want to take a moment, because I did say some things about UCDI. So guess what I'm going to do? Let's just take a break, and you'll be able to see what UCDI looks like, because this is something that started in 1999. And because of the personal growth, the decision to make personal growth and to be in alignment and to follow the faith and find the answer that was in the instructions, you know, UCDI has been around for over a decade now as a bona fide, viable leadership training and development company that has been able to work with some key organizations and some key individuals. It's amazing. So we're going to take this quick break. I'm going to let you see a little bit about UCDI, which is part of the ecosystem framework. It's part of the ecosystem. It is the core offering in it. And then I'll come back and I'm going to tell you a little bit more as we're about to close.
Do you want greater success and satisfaction in your career? Do you have ideas that you desire to contribute? Then it's time to invest in you. Imagine you building and managing a high-performance team, managing conflict and difficult conversations, understanding financial management and budgeting, creating and implementing strategic plans, building and maintaining relationships with stakeholders. Our programs are designed and tailored for individuals seeking to grow and succeed in their leadership roles. UCDI's Change the Narrative Progressive Leadership is a mid-level leadership program designed specifically to develop the skills and knowledge necessary to take on greater leadership responsibilities in a sustainably scalable format. So, if you're tired of seeing ineffective processes, unhealthy work distribution, lack of follow-through and accountability, and you want to be an answer for yourself and for your team, then this is the program for you. Contact UCDI Leadership at info@ucdileadership.com or text LEADERSHIP to 214-717-5921. The future depends on many things, but mostly it depends on you.
Look at that. Look at that. All right, guys. So as I'm bringing this to a close, I just want to share that I've walked through transition phases that shaped me. You have also. I have deliberately partnered with the Holy Spirit and been intentional throughout my times of transition so that I don't have to be reactive to the transition. I can be proactive. I can be deliberate. I can heal. I can design. I can do things inside of my transition instead of just being like, I can't wait to get through this. I don't try to power through the seasons of transition. I try to gain what I need to gain through every phase, from the honeymoon or the, denial stage. Both of those are the same. It's just honeymoon is for something amazing. Denial is how you approach something that you didn't want to see happen. When we go through the frustration and the confusion stages, through the crisis and the depression stages, through the just letting it all go and being like, you know what? I released whatever I thought at the beginning of this, and I'm going to take an assessment of where I am now. Knowing the stages of transition has helped me to minimize my time in them and not be stuck, not make permanent decisions in something that I recognize as a temporary phase. And so the book Think on Purpose really does speak to that. And normally I would, hold the book in front of me and be like, hey, grab this book. But you can look at any of the other podcast episodes and see that. It comes with a workbook. It really will help you understand these phases, how to think on purpose, and how to lean in to the curve, into the change, into the things that are going on. So I've walked through those transition phases that shaped me, that built me, that broke me. Just all of it. Progress is not linear. You may think it's linear, but it's not. And growth requires you to remember things, In my case, it required me to remember who actually gave me the instructions that held my answers, which was the Lord, God. From day one, hey, you can't stay here, move here. Hey, open up your hotel room at the extended stay and talk to people, give them hope, do different things. I didn't even recognize all of what I was doing. And it was for me just as much as for them. But even then it was like, okay, here's a community. Who knew that I was building a community at that time? We weren't doing all this stuff on social media. And so what I remember at each time, I remember God's faithfulness. I remember his direction. I remember he's my shepherd. And I remember that sometimes he corrects, but even that's his love. He chastens those that he loves. I mean, God forbid if he didn't say nothing to me and just let me walk off a bridge. Some of us have people that I call them friendlies, but they're like friendly enemies. They will watch you do something and know that it's not good for you and not say anything. I'm very grateful that there are people who in my life who love me enough to tell me the truth, because the truth is never wrong. It may be inconvenient and it may not be what you want at the time, but it is for your best. So if that's you, listen, struggle is not pretty. I tell people the sexiest part of being sexy is the unsexy work of being in the gym, of making those choices, not to eat all the pastries, but to eat something healthy, of doing the sit-ups and the crunches and the lunges. None of that is sexy, but people want the summer bod. And so struggle is not aesthetic. Progress isn't linear. Growth does require you to remember things that maybe you quietly set aside. Maybe you're like, hey, I'm good right here. Or you think you're good right there. Me, from riding a bike to barely work, to carrying laundry to the bus stops because my mom needs clean clothes, sitting in an empty apartment and being so happy about the empty apartment because I didn't have an apartment first, to owning a home and building stability. I'm realizing that somewhere along the rise, I had moments and times where I would separate my faith from my professional life. But that was the promise. That's the promise that I asked for. So in faith, I asked for these things and then I got them. And then I try to separate my faith from it because of how I didn't want someone else to look or actually because I'll start listening to other voices, to other people telling me how to get to the next thing, when the one voice always brought the right people to help me get to the next thing that was in alignment. And so sometimes you have to take accountability for that too. This is Be the Clay. I'm just keeping it real. This is Be the Clay. This is about being having integrity. Integrity is not just being honest, it's being whole. It comes from the word integer, which is a whole, like a whole number. And you don't want to be split. You don't want to be like, well, this is my work and this is my life. No, you're one person. You are one person. Don't let something split you. That's division. Division never works. Okay? Division never works. That's how people become double-minded. And when you're double-minded, you're unstable in everything that you do. Alignment is not optional. It's not. It's how you keep the tire on the road. It's how when you get off on the exit, your tire doesn't go on rolling into the grass or up the embankment because you're busy doing something else instead of tending to what you are called to steward. You're called to steward yourself. You're called to lead and steward yourself. And so I just wanted to share some of those things with you. I said this month of February, I would share some things, and I would share some personal things just to kind of let y'all know. Sometimes you see people and you think like, oh, they never have any problems, or they're so strong, or they're this or they're that. Thank you. If that, thank you for those thoughts. That's good. I appreciate that. I may be strong, but I know who I lean on. And I know that that's where my strength comes from, because without it, listen, I'd be sitting somewhere on the side of the road, just humming and rocking. Trust. Or I may be somewhere else, or I may not even be. But yeah, what I really like about the last year and this season of my life, is being able to help people and to actually integrate every part, the leadership, the spirituality, the language mastery, the emotional intelligence, the human behavior, to encourage people, to help them find the alignment, to help them have the clarity, to help them build what they need to build, to help them set up the structure the way it needs to be set up, to help them do the things so that they can be the benefit to those in proximity to them. I love it. I love what I get to do. I love how I get to do it. And I love the fact that because I choose to be the clay, it allows me to stay pliable. And as long as I'm in the potter's hand, I know I'm all right. In a world full of chaos, the peace of God guards my heart and my mind, because I know I'm all right as long as I am in the potter's hand. Now, when I start trying to fight against the potter's hand and tell the potter what I am and ain't going to do, yeah, it gets a little chaotic. And so if you've had times where you've been chaotic, or you've been so busy that you are not able to check in with the potter, or you're doing like cursory check-ins, now I lay me down to sleep, that type of thing. And you know in your knower that you don't have the confidence of alignment that you have had before, or that you desire. That confidence in the alignment really causes you, it spills over into every other area in your life, professionally, personally, physically, financially, emotionally, mentally. It spills over. If you know that you don't have that, I want to let you know, we have an alignment series where we meet once a month. It is a 2-day meeting. And so it's on Friday evening where we start, we worship, we do prayer training, we go over some of the promises, because if you're focusing on the problem and not the promises, you're going to gravitate toward what you're focusing on. Where you stare, you steer, okay? What you look at, you lean toward. So if you, unless it's just horrible, like, it's scaring you, you might back up a little then, but you still gravitate toward whatever you focus on. Whatever gets your attention gets your intention. Like your members, how you move, your intentions go toward that thing. So if you want to be more in alignment, and you recognize that I'm not as confident as I would like to be in my alignment, we have the alignment series. It is the last weekend of every month. On that Friday, we start at 6 p.m. Central, and we just start with some music. And then at 7 p.m., we go into the training and the teaching. It is interactive training. So you will be able to train with us. And then on the next morning, that Saturday, we do the leadership training. And we keep it faith-based, but it's not teaching you how to, go and sneak oil on people's chair in your offices. That's not it at all. We talk about integrity. We talk about faith-based principles. We talk about principles that honor who you serve and who you serve here. We talk about servant leadership. And so we really go into the leadership principles with bona fide leadership training on that Saturday. And here's the amazing thing. There's no cost. There's no cost. You only need to register and show up. You only need to register and show up. That's it. Because again, alignment matters, and alignment is key. That's it. So y'all, that's all I have today. That's all I have here on this particular Be the Clay shifting and transition. I think I went through some of the things that would help. The clear takeaways there, what's not optional. Stewardship is not optional. Things happen. Life lessons occur. Transferable skills are really helpful. I've shared a little bit about myself. I'll be back this same time next week. Same bat time, same bat place. I look forward to seeing you all. And if you are interested in the alignment series, just go into the description section, click the link. And once you click the link, fill out. It'll take you to the landing page, letting you know more about the alignment series. Fill it out, and it'll put you on that specific email list. You'll get a few emails right at the beginning to kind of catch you up. And then you get like one email a week. And hopefully we'll be able to see you at the end of the month. It's interactive. It's amazing. And the one thing too about being a faith-based entrepreneur or being even a faith-based professional, you recognize that you have the answer, like the main answer, but you don't always have all of the answers, And so I hope you guys are able to join. I hope this has been a little more, letting you get a little more glimpse into who I am and what I do. I love what I get to do. I love when I get to speak. I love when we do the training workshops. I love helping people publish books. I love helping people, really working with them in an advisory capacity so that they can increase their visibility. All of the things. It sounds like a lot, but it all comes from the one thing, because that's what alignment does. That's what alignment does. Oh, I hope y'all get it. I hope you get it. Yeah, y'all be easy. God bless, and I'll see you next week. Hey, if you believe that leadership is more than titles and prayer is more than words, this invitation is for you. The Alignment Prayer and Leadership Training is a private virtual experience for leaders, professionals, and purpose-driven individuals who understand this truth. Prayer and leadership are not separate lanes. They work together. No matter your role, influence, or level of visibility, if you make decisions, manage people, carry vision, or carry responsibility, alignment matters. This training will help you increase discernment and bring inner life into alignment with how we lead publicly, how you lead publicly. If this sounds like something that you're interested in, join us, because vision is non-negotiable and misalignment is costly. This isn't about performative spirituality. It's intentional prayer, grounded leadership, real alignment. If you're ready to lead with clarity, humility, and conviction, this is your room, and we would love to have you.
You have to work with other people, and sometimes you don't want to. Sometimes they are in your face. God, I'm talking to myself too. But you still have to work with that person, so you have to lean over the shoulder and see what the result is that you want. You have to be the adult, and you have to let it go, because I can't run a race carrying your bags, my bags, and everybody else's bags.
I'm Dr. Kathy Martin, and I am living proof that with Sharon Combs, Coach Shay, and UCDI leadership processes and strategic avenues work.